Alrighty. Welcome back to the swamp, everybody. This is the Ogre and the Ass podcast. Eric, how you doing today, man?
Pretty good, man. How about you?
Oh, it's another day in paradise for me. Anytime we get to come back in the swamp and have this podcast, it's always a good day.
Right. When I get to run my mouth, that's the best
Right.
time.
When we get to talk our stuff. And to everyone who's watching and listening, thank you again so much for coming here. And please just don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Or if you are on one of our other platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts, please just hit the follow button. Anyway, Eric, so we don't have a guest today. So it's just going to be you and I running our mouths. So I've already told you what the prompt is today. And what we will be talking about is that the scenario, I don't know if you've ever seen it before, but there's a scenario that people have talked about, it floats around Facebook or whatnot, of if you could sit down for an hour on a bench with someone and have a conversation, who would it be? But we're going to change that up a little bit. So one, you can't pick a religious figure.
What? I can't pick JC?
Can't pick JC, Muhammad, nobody. Buddha, none of them. Can't do it.
Not even the Buddha.
Not even the Buddha.
Dang.
Not today's podcast. And if the atheists had someone, we'd deny them too, but dang it, we can't.
How about the flying spaghetti monster?
That one especially. We will not talk about that one.
Dang, all right.
Okay, so with that, so we're going to do one famous person from history, but also we're going to mix it up. You have to spend 1 hour with an infamous person from history. So let's just, I know it's going to be obvious. Like we already know that what people are going to be thinking, but I think maybe one of them might throw them off. So let's just start with famous. Eric, you have 1 hour in a park bench to talk to someone from history who is famous. Who are you picking?
Off the top of my head, well, originally for the record, it was going to be Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah.
But no, I decided to go somewhere farther back to a nice Austrian named Friedrich Nietzsche.
Kind of describe, who is he?
He is known. Okay, so if you ever heard about Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung and all these other psychologists from the last century, he is like their godfather when it comes to psychology. He's a self-proclaimed, psychologist, the first one.
Okay.
And a lot of those people like Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung, they actually talk about him a lot. They get a lot of their works from him and they expanded upon it.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I've noticed of watching Jordan Peterson and, reading two of Friedrich Nietzsche's books, Beyond Good and Evil and Thus Spoke Zarathustra. Oh my gosh, it's so hard to pronounce that last
I don't even know what you're talking about. So you see, you could have said anything. I would have believed you.
Well, yeah, believe me then. Zarathustra, whatever. However you
Starbucks.
say it. Starbucks. Thus Spoke Starbucks. Point is, I listened to those two books on Kindle. And I need to go back and reread it. But basically, he talks a lot about psychology, the human psyche, dreams. But overall, if you ever think about Superman,
okay,
he was like one of the inspirations because he did the Ubermensch, which is the overman. And that's basically Superman being better than the fellow man.
Wait, the what?
The Ubermensch. It's Austrian for
it's
overman.
Austrian. Okay, fair enough.
Basically, his idea of man is someone who's above it all, someone who's not into, getting too emotional, someone who's a stoic, someone who is rock solid in their beliefs, someone who forges their own life. The funny thing is he started off really Christian, but then throughout his time, he became really nihilistic and, I guess you'd say atheist, but he's more of just a person who wants us to find our own path in life and to overcome our own trials.
Okay.
Of course, easier said than done.
Yeah, for real.
But he gives you some good tools in his books.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I definitely like about Friedrich Nietzsche is just that he's a very strong-willed individual. And he's all about mind over will. Or sorry, is that right?
Yeah. Well, it's I think it's talking about mind over matter, or brain over bronze. Mind over will. What's the difference?
Yeah, what is the difference?
Mind over will. Can someone explain that one to me?
Yeah, mind over matter, and that's his biggest thing. So anyway, he passed away in 1890, but he's just a really good psychologist.
Okay, so what would be the first question you ask him?
What?
It doesn't have to be a question, but what would you want to talk about with him at least?
I would want him to give me the David Goggins experience. Like, you know who he is.
Yeah, I know David Goggins, but what does he have to do with that?
Well, he's similar in the sense that he'll tell you to your face, you're doing horrible. You're not doing what you should be doing.
Oh, so he's like straight up with it.
Exactly. Like, he's not afraid of ripping the people. And the sad thing is about Friedrich Nietzsche is he got a lot of crap later on. People started calling him Nazis, this and that. This is in the 1890s. This is before Nazis was the actual thing.
Oh, they were calling him like, what, a fascist then? Or?
Well, yeah, because, Adolf Hitler, liked his work. But the funny thing was he wasn't a racist.
You mean like they looked back in history, it's like, oh, that guy was a Nazi.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
And they said, oh, he's the one who helped Hitler with Nazis and one of the minds behind Nazis. I'm like, no. He critiqued everything from religion, especially religion, to himself. He critiqued his country, his fellow German. He didn't care. He'd critique you, and he was very cynical. People call him nihilistic, But the thing is, though, his critiques were to help you understand that you have flaws, within yourself that you need to fix. And so, well, anyway, I'm just saying in general, that's just who Nietzsche was.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Interesting. Okay. All right. And so you just want him to sit there and just bag on you the whole time.
Yeah, let me know what I'm doing wrong, because I don't, because again, growing up as a wrestler, my coaches were very honest with me. They gave me that Nietzschean, experience of, no, you're screwing up, but let me show you how you can do better, and they're very effective that way.
So what if instead of, like, obviously I can't bring you Friedrich Nietzsche, but I know people love to critique videos on YouTube comments. So we could just have people like, go down the comment section, roast Eric, let him know what he can do better.
Yeah, but I want to be professional roasters, though. Nietzsche was a professional roaster.
If you're good at roasting or you're good at psychology, then you can critique and roast Eric. I like that.
Exactly.
Not me. I'm not taking that one. I don't need that right now. Interesting. Okay. So Friedrich Nietzsche, that's your pick. That's your lineup. Yep. 1 hour with them, just letting him bag on you the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, all right. So I guess mine, is also philosopher. I would pick Plato.
I like Plato. He was actually the very first philosophical book I read was his book, The Republic.
The Republic, that was mine too, of his. Yeah, and actually, for people who cannot see it, I'm sorry about that, but for those of you who can, because you're on YouTube, the second book holding up my microphone that I have under here is The Essential Dialogues of Plato. One of my favorite books I've ever read. Definitely, man, it definitely opens your mind up a lot. And it makes you appreciate, like, wow, like back then they were thinking this way. Like how you see how he went on to shape Western philosophy. So yeah, if I got to sit down for an hour, I would pick Plato. And someone might be asking, like, why not Socrates? So, and I'm not taking any sides on this. I'm not. There is debatable proof. I shouldn't say that. That made no sense. There's some debatable evidence, I should say, that Socrates actually never existed.
Wow. That kind of hurts, actually.
It's very minor. So that's the only reason. I'm not saying I agree with it either. All I'm saying is that there's evidence that he may not have existed at all, because he never wrote down anything. Plato's the one who wrote everything down. And so with that, it's, for all we know, Socrates was just someone Plato made up. I'm not going to act like I'm a professor. I don't know all that. There might be someone in here who's like cracking his like, oh, I'm about to have to roast this young man. Get this dumbass off the channel.
Boy.
How dare you talk about him? It's okay. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Put it in the comment section. I don't care. Link me. So, but yeah, he's the one that'd be there. And actually, it's not just because it'd be great to pick his brain. I could just read his books. But there's stuff in his books, specifically The Republic, that I was like, that is ridiculous that you said that. So for people who haven't read The Republic, I'm going to put this in a nutshell, the best I can. Plato goes into his ideal, I guess you would call it a utopia, but his ideal society. And in it, it's all based on a lie. That everyone is from the center of the earth. There's the metal theory, essentially that we don't come from each other, but we all come from the center of the earth. And it had all these reasons why. But that comes later on in the Republic. Earlier, in fact, the first book, because the Republic, I believe, is made up of 10 books. The first one, and probably all the way up to the fifth one, it seemed like, well, what is a good man? And a good man is someone who never lies. He talks about that a lot. A trustworthy man. And there's other aspects as well to what makes a man. But he talked about telling the truth. And then later on, he goes and he's like, oh yeah, my perfect society based on a lie. And I'm like, wait a second. That you can't just skirt past that. Like, I'm not about to read that. Like, what are you talking about? You just said a good man tells the truth. In fact, you spent a lot of time saying that. And now you're the society based on a lie that no one would believe anyway.
But didn't he also call that a righteous lie? Something like that?
A righteous lie. Yeah. Get that crap away from me.
That's something he made
That's
up.
The dumbest thing. I don't remember that. A righteous lie.
Something along those lines.
If you're going to lie about like anything, a righteous lie, okay, maybe it's your weight. Okay, like, no, I only weigh like 180 when really you're 200. Like, that's it. That's the only time I'll let that stuff slide. This, when you are trying to educate people and really give them your side of like what a perfect society is, and it's based off of a lie. I just thought that was interesting. So I mostly want to go back for like, why did you say that? What is the point of this? Like, and maybe there's parts of the book I'm not remembering properly. I don't remember him ever addressing that though. And if there is a scholar out there who's just like, typing away at the keyboards right now. He's hacking away, getting ready to roast me. Just be nice, but
right. Actually, come on board. We'll have to have
Oh,
a nice
right.
interview. You know,
Oh, that'd actually be great.
educate us.
Yeah, educate us. But I remember reading that and I was just like, how is this man going to build a society based upon a lie when all he talked about was how good men, and it's not all, I'm sorry, but a part of what he talked about is that good men tell the truth. Now, there was so much other good stuff. I definitely recommend. If you were looking for a good book to read The Republic of Plato. You see why this man is so smart. Oh, yeah. And I know for a fact he'd pick me apart too, like Friedrich Nietzsche would with you, but it'd still just it'd be fun. So for me, I'm picking Plato, and that's what I'm sticking to.
No, Plato's definitely would be another one of mine if I had to.
Oh, yeah. You gotta do it, man. His stories, especially these essential dialogues. People, go read that stuff. It's so fun.
He also too opened up my eyes to the allegory of the cave, which I love that much.
Oh, let's not get too deep into this right now, guys. We are not philosophers. This is not our place to talk about. I'm going to talk about how much I liked it.
Oh yeah,
but I'm not going to go into depth.
It was that one and his thoughts on mob rule, that I thought made sense because a lot of people, give America a hard time because of the, how we vote. Yeah, it's the popular and there's the college vote. But I was like, in his book, The Republic, he puts up a good reason why he don't never want the majority to decide every factor of your life. Yeah. And I'm like, that's a good point.
It's funny. I'm going to talk about a movie that's nothing related to this, but there's a movie called The Bucket List, and they start talking about religion. It was Morgan Freeman and Jack Nicholson. And Morgan Freeman and Jack Nicholson are talking about religion, and Jack kind of laughs it off, and Freeman's character goes, "Oh, are you saying 95% of the people are wrong?" And Jack just looks at him and goes, in my career, 95% of the people are always wrong. I was like, oh, okay. Like, so I just feel like that when you said that, I just brought that back to mind. And
that's fair. I guess you got to be careful too. Yeah, what the majority is talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, so let's move on to the fun one now. Eric, if you had to sit in a park bench.
Why me first? It's a hot spot over here.
Hot spot? What's wrong?
Nothing.
I feel like the person you're about to... Do you agree with the person you're about to...
Oh, I don't want to. He's infamous. Why would I agree with him? I mean, he has good style.
Well, you wouldn't be the first. Okay.
I think I'd be the first nigga to do it, though.
No.
I'm just saying.
Is that the first N-bomb we've had on the show?
I think it is, actually.
The first N-bomb on the show right here.
Right. If the kids are listening to this, I apologize.
No, I literally go into all the formats that we have, and I say, this is not meant for kids.
Oh, okay, that's good.
So I put you have to be 18-year-old.
Okay, I don't feel bad then anymore doing it. Okay. I'm always afraid some kids from my mission will be like, oh, Elder McQuarrie curse. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. And I did it on my mission.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Be better than me.
Anyway, we're getting off track here, man. Okay. You can't lose sight of this.
Sorry, I'm just trying to run away from it.
Eric, you have to sit down at a park bench for someone for 1 hour. Who is that infamous figure going to be?
Okay. For the record, it's literally another Austrian, and it's literally...
Get to it.
Hitler.
Okay. Adolf Hitler. Now, everyone's sitting there like, oh, why was that such a big deal? Like, that's the first pick everyone has. But, I mean, you have to think about this, too. Is like, you have to sit there for 1 hour, act like this man is like a regular person.
Can we do pre-dictator Hitler?
No.
Oh, it's current.
He wasn't infamous prior to his dictatorship.
Well, yeah, but technically, historically wise, he was still infamous.
For what? But prior to his dictatorship.
I know, but as the viewer...
Oh my gosh! No. The hindsight 2020 thing. No.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind. No hindsight. All right. Well, fine. 1933. Adolf Hitler. All right.
The boring one.
Yeah.
Okay. What would you talk about?
I just want to know. First off, where'd you get your style from?
That's really clothing is the first. You got 1 hour with this man, and clothing is what you have for him.
Well, if I talk about anything else, it's going to turn into racial issues and Jews and Marxism.
So you're literally
and blacks.
Just for the sake of time, you're not going to talk about the thing anyone would talk about with him.
Well, but fine. How about that? We'll categorize two things. First, his clothes. They had some style.
What?
Oh, well, look. George Lucas used that style for the Empire for a reason. Grand Moff Tarkin, that's an SS uniform.
Okay. Anyway,
with the British dude.
How about we park the clothing discussion for another time?
All right, fine. So the main discussion would be...
I can't believe you said that was stylish. well, everyone wearing the new SS 3000s.
They fire, right? Oh, that's, ooh.
Oh my God.
That's not what I meant, guys.
No,
that's not what I
We're
meant.
getting canceled. I can't believe it took me a second. I'm an idiot. Oh my gosh.
Das Fire. I'm sorry. That was an accident too, by the way. That wasn't even me being quippy. That was just an accident. But I would ask him back to the topic. I would ask him about what's his mindset with America? What's his idea world for Germany?
Well, I think you're looking at it.
Well, no. I mean, like in the sense that because there are times where he didn't really bother. Well, yeah, you had the issue in Africa where, Rommel was there, his Panzer, commander. But it's like you obviously can't sterilize India, Africa, and every other brown country. So it's like, what's your grand scheme if you guys were to win in Northern Africa? What would be your grand scheme in India? What would you do with the rest of the people?
So you'd ask him like what his plans are. And by the way, when I said like you're looking at it, I just mean like white people.
Yeah.
We were his plan.
Yeah.
Wow, you just ask him about like what he would have done had he won?
Yeah. Because you can't exterminate every brown person in the world. That's impossible.
I think he thought different.
Oh yeah, he definitely thought, but it's just too much work and effort. So like, what would you do? Because there were times, like for example, with what's his name, Jesse Owens.
I actually on my way back from California just the other day, I was watching the movie. I think it's called Owens.
Yeah. And it's like he went to the 1933, 37.
It was like something like
Olympics,
that,
and
I think it was 37.
Yeah, and the thing is, I mean, I don't think from what I remember, he wasn't treated super harshly at all. I mean, they really will respect him enough because he's an athlete. I'm not going to say, they were perfect to him, but what I'm saying is I just wondered, what Hitler was thinking, and like, because he obviously didn't execute him at all. He could have done it. Mm-hmm. So I'm just saying, like, obviously he has he has these moments where he'll let something slide.
Well, I mean, if you watch the movie, and maybe there's more to this also, it's drama. Oh, yeah. It's a movie.
Sure is Hollywood.
But like, he would not recognize them. He would not approach them. He would not shake the hands of the gold medalists if they were black. So there's that. Oh, wow. Like, I don't know. I feel like for me, if I had to talk to Hitler for an hour, the only question I think I could get out was why? Like, okay, we're not here to like stroke his ego. Obviously he's dead, but we're not here to stroke his, like, whatever. But the fact is like, you have that much power. And I don't mean power of like what he got up to. I was like, the power to talk to people and influence them the way he did.
I think he was the first person to really use radio to the fullest extent.
Maybe. I know.
Besides H.G. Wells.
I remember learning that it was a lot of his propaganda.
Yeah.
But, I just mean like you have that power to sit there and to direct people and they believe in you and that's the direction you go.
Yeah.
For all we know, the kind of support he got, maybe he could have, I don't know, was it cure or fix world hunger? Yeah. I don't know what it was like.
Yeah.
What he did. And it's like, dude, why was that the direction?
Yeah.
Out of anything you could have been known for, out of the good you could have done with that power. Why? Now, I think we could also get into a philosophical debate about that, but whatever. We're not here to do a debate because we're not smart enough for that kind of stuff. But I don't know. That for me would be it.
Yeah, and the thing is too, there's always people like that. For example, you either have Adolf Hitler or you have Gandhi, and either way on the spectrum, they're able to rally people to their cause. And it's like if we can just tap into, Hitler's type of talents for bringing up people, get them out of their slumber and getting them working and getting them happy, getting them focused on a certain goal, there'd be way more. Well, for the record, it had to be a righteous goal.
Yeah.
but for the record, we just have so much more success. So this is weird to me how even evil can spread like that. Well,
and I don't know too much about Gandhi, but one thing I do remember when talking about Hitler, why he was able to do what he did, is that he hit everyone's fear buttons. Be scared of the Jews, be scared of these people. And then giving them a beacon is what I'm going to call it. That's not what it is, but he gave them a beacon of, well, this is what the ideal German is. And this is what we need to strive for. And this is what will protect and save our country. And the fact that other countries joined him, though, is even more insane, but I'm not going to get into that. But yeah, it's like, man, of everything you could have done, that was it. Gandhi did real good. I think Gandhi was actually a really good example of someone in the opposite. And how he went on to affect the world. Man, I'm almost sad maybe we should have picked him. It's one of our favorites. But yeah, okay. Anything else you talked to him about?
That and maybe his, favorite food. There you go.
Really? So you would try to humanize him?
Might as well, you know. At this point, I'm acting like a journalist. I have 1 hour to interview you.
So you're gonna ask about his food?
Yeah, like, you know, what do you do from day to day? You know, that's normal. That's not all hatred.
Well, I actually, he had a dog, and I heard he loved his dog.
Was it German Shepherd?
I don't know.
I feel like it was.
I just remember that he had a dog, and even he loved dogs. So that's so crazy to me, because apparently, and this is like the psychology with dogs, is so narcissists don't like dogs. But apparently narcissists like cats, because cats are also naturally narcissists.
So narcissists prefer cats over dogs.
Apparently. And this was actually talked to me by a therapist within the last year. So take it for whatever. And if someone has more to put into it, go ahead. But that's why a lot of and I've noticed that in myself too, or with myself, when I'm out and about, and there are people who have more of these, who are more narcissistic, most of the time they don't like dogs. And I don't mean like there are some crazy people who love dogs way too much. Like there's boundaries, obviously, but they're just like, no, I'm not a dog person. And they got to sit there and like, what? How are you not? If Hitler was a dog person, how on God's green earth are you not?
Literally Hitler.
So I don't get that. I'm just like, I just sit there. I'm like, so that it almost proves it right though. And it's happened every time ever since that's been brought out to me or kind of shown to me. It's true. If I'm like, man, this person's really narcissistic. And then they say like, they don't like dogs. I'm like, wow, like it's actually fitting. And then it's the people who are like more caring about others, obviously, who like dogs, because that's the personality of a dog, is to love someone more than you love yourself. But a cat doesn't do that. Regularly, a cat doesn't do that.
I won't lie though, because even though I love dogs, I've noticed from living in the South, people treat dogs right. They treat them pretty good. But the thing is, they also understand there's boundaries. There's boundaries there. And the dog will be outside if it needs to be outside. Most of the time they're outside. I'm
not taking in 15 dogs.
Exactly.
They ain't all being in my house.
Yeah.
Like, nope.
And also too, if you got to put your dog down, you put it down. So I don't know. Like I love dogs, but I do prefer cats in a way because they're just more, independent. And I like that. With dogs, they're so damn needy. So maybe I am narcissistic, whatever you call it what it is.
I don't know, man. I'm not going to sit and diagnose you. I'm not going to psychoanalyze you.
Diagnose me.
But no, that was just something brought up. So I just think that's interesting. And no, we got from Hitler to dogs, but
yeah. German Shepherds.
Okay. Well, are you going to ask me the question back? I feel like I have to ask all the questions.
Oh, I can ask you back the question.
Okay, go ahead.
Who would be the infamous person that you would spend an hour with, Tom?
Okay. It's weird because people are probably being like, oh, Stalin or this person or Mao or, one of the Kim Jong-un or whatever, Kim Jong-il or something. I'm actually going to pick Jim Jones.
Jim Jones. Oh, the
Kool-Aid guy. Kool-Aid man.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Oh, no.
So just to bring people into this, there's often a quote that people say is like, oh, they're drinking the Kool-Aid. Okay, that's quoting back to a cult back in the 70s. A cult in the 70s was led by a man named Jim Jones. Jim Jones convinced these people to follow him, and they moved I don't remember where they originally started off, but first they went to San Francisco, and then they moved, I think it was South America?
Yeah, South America.
Somewhere in South America, like the jungle, South America. And he brought over 100 people with him and kids. And he was just awfully abusive to them. Like he was awful to them, but these people still believed in him. And then he got these people to drink Kool-Aid, which had rat poison in it. And these people, he, again, somehow convinced them to give it to little kids, to babies. And there were a few who escaped, and you can go watch their stories on YouTube. And the reason I'm picking Jim Jones is because there's something about Hitler where he was able to scare people to hating someone else. He used hate and fear. But Jim Jones led people to take their own life, to move, to be abused. And he did this to over 100 people from all different professions. People who were probably much smarter than he was. And I would just sit there and I would want to ask him those deep questions, not of like, why did you do what you did? I feel like that wouldn't actually get anywhere. But more of, how did you do this? How were you able to convince people to take their own lives? Did you hold a gun to everyone's head? He had a gun. That's how he killed himself. But what did you do? And there were people who did not do it and who ran. There was one lady I remember watching her story on YouTube. She grabbed a kid and ran.
A random kid?
I think so. Because they were giving it to kids. They were giving the Kool-Aid to kill them. The kids went first, I believe.
Wow.
And then people took their own lives. And I know that seems morbid to talk about, but there's something to that. There's something about like a person like Hitler who scares you into hating other people. But then there's this man who talked you into taking your own life. And I think it was so like your soul could jump on the comet that was passing by.
To the moon.
This isn't Dogecoin. And it's just what's crazy to me. That's why I'd want to sit there and talk to him. Like how did you get people to turn against themselves to commit a mass suicide? I think it's still the largest mass suicide ever. And this is not to aggrandize it. This is not to make it seem cool or anything like that. But what it is if I had that opportunity to sit down with Jim Jones, besides throwing hands with him, like you had to sit still. You have to sit still. You can't put your hands on him. I just want to figure out, like, how did you do this? Like, what were you telling them? What was being said? Maybe it was fear tactics. I don't know. Maybe it was... I don't even know. Because I feel like today in modern religion, what we believe in, like, no, that... If they said drink the Kool-Aid, I'd be like,
right.
You funny.
Let me see you prep it real quick.
Yeah. You try it first. Oh, dang, dog, that didn't work. No, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. No.
And maybe there's other forms, drink Kool-Aid, whatever. I know there's brainwashing, there's manipulation. But again, it goes back to you had all this power. You had the ability to talk people into doing something that literally killed themselves. Why did you use your power to do this? To take him to the middle of South America. And when I watched the video, it was awful. He was taking meth to stay awake. Because he stayed awake for like just days on end, taking meth, yelling.
I can see that through the videos because the way he looks.
Oh my gosh.
He just looks out of it.
And he was like yelling at them through a microphone, kept a gun on his side. I know he used it to threaten some people. And it was just, but at the end, he still got people to do this. And so I just kind of sit here and I'm just like, man, why is that the direction you pick? Now, I guess the kind of philosophical thing I was talking about is it easier to lead people to do bad things or to do good things? And maybe that's it. Maybe that almost speaks into it. Because look, we had Gandhi here, but he changed a lot of philosophy. He did so much good. But as the years are going on, it seemed like it kind of... it didn't fall off and fade. People still research and people still learn from him. But you feel like more and more people are becoming disconnected as the generations grow. But you see here, like Hitler's name is going to be throughout. Remember in high school, who did you learn more about? Gandhi or Hitler?
Hitler, of course. I think Gandhi got like, 10 pages?
I don't remember ever hearing about him. I'm going to be honest. I don't.
Hitler got like a whole chapter, World War II.
We spent weeks talking about World War II.
Yeah.
And does that prove something? Does that say like, well, it's easier to talk people into doing bad things than it isn't to good things? And what are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, something I've learned, and I've always told myself this for years, and Jordan Peterson talked about this too. He talked about how if you were living in 1930s Nazi Germany, chances are you're a Nazi. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people keep saying, I would never be a Nazi. I would never kill a Jew. It's like, no, if I'm Caucasian living in Germany in the 1930s, and I don't know any better, I'm quote unquote killing a Jew. No offense to them, it's just what I'm bred to believe, this propaganda. And so it's easy for me to do something nasty.
Yeah.
Now, I want to assume I'd be there with the resistance, but I probably wouldn't. Just throwing it out.
Yeah, we'd like to think we'd be the person like that. And this goes to even other things too, like even slavery. How many times, oh my gosh, I've met so many people who are like, nope, if I lived back then,
I know, right?
I would have helped the Underground Railroad. Like, you don't know that.
Exactly.
Do you know why? Because you weren't raised in an area where that was a bad thing to help out black people. You would not have been raised knowing that. It took people who just developed their own conscience and still see how long it took just to get civil rights.
Yeah.
After that time period. So there was actually a really good analogy someone said where, obviously today slavery still happens in its own way. And guys, no, I know we're going way off topic here, but I'm going to say this because I feel like it needs to be said. For all the people who have ever said, no, I would never have done slavery. No, never. Not me. I would have been there, right there with Harriet Tubman.
Right.
Locking arms with her.
Fuck out of here with that shit.
Right. Shut up. Because you know why? Because it still exists. And no one, and I don't mean like, oh yeah, there's a lack of rights. There's racial, no. Slavery still exists here in America. You know why? Because there are plenty of little boys and girls who are getting abducted every day.
Yeah.
Why aren't you part of Underground Railroad? That's literally the name.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you would lock arms with Harriet Tubman, but here.
Well, that's different.
Oh,
Dog.
that's different. It's not my kid. Exactly. It's not yours. And I'm not going to sit here on my high horse. I love sharing the stuff like on my own Facebook account or on other things where it talks about Underground Railroad, like all that stuff helping out. I have a friend who's even trying to go work for him now. I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
But that's the good gut punch right there. You would help slavery? Well, it's still happening. And guess what? Where it doesn't happen to adults as much, I'm not saying it doesn't happen at all, but it's happening to little boys and little girls. And where are you now?
Yeah.
Where's the march down the street for them?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why I'm just saying, like, you can stand on a high horse. I'm not going to stand on a high horse. I don't do enough. I know I don't. Although we did talk about doing it, actually, but prior to our podcast, kind of bring this on a lighter note now. Prior to our podcast, we were talking about doing a YouTube channel where we would like go to online chat rooms, act like 13-year-old girls, and bring them over to our apartment.
Oh, yeah.
And then beat their ass.
Yeah, beat their ass. Good, too. Thorough beating.
Right. And I had so many people like, you should really be careful. This is a dark hole you're going down. The same discussion, same stuff. And we were discussing with Ken, a friend of ours who was a cop. I believe as a sheriff at one point. I'm not entirely sure on that, but he even was giving us stuff like, hey, when you guys talk, like you can't say these certain things or else it's not, then they can't be charged with anything. Yeah. I'm like, charging? Oh, that's right. We're going to do this the legal way. I forgot. I was like, no, we're going to hit him with a baseball bat.
Right. Problem solved.
Right.
I told you I'd shut that shit down.
Speaking of Negan, I'm sorry guys, we're so off topic here. Speaking of Negan, there was this person who made a defense like, oh, well, you can't make pedophilia go away. Like pedophiles are always going to be around. You can't just get rid of pedophilia. And it showed Negan holding his baseball bat, Lucille smiling like, are you sure? You can't just wave a magic wand and make them all disappear. And he's just sitting there with a smile like, here's my magic wand. So, I mean, that's just it. That's my take on it. Because when, just like that, when it's back in the day and people would like to think, oh, I never would have supported Hitler.
Stop playing.
Man, y'all sharing photos of your cats and dogs on Facebook does not look like you're doing a whole lot to help.
Right.
But, you know, I'm not taking the high horse. I'm just pointing out a fact that maybe if I fall into it too, I'm guilty of it. And that's where I'm at. I think maybe we all fall a little guilty and short of it, but it's happening. Yeah. And it's not serious to anyone until it becomes a problem to them. So the high horse stuff bugs me. I'm not saying I get to be on one, but I will not let other people be on it either.
Exactly.
I will not let someone else stand on that topic of high horse. Does that make sense?
Exactly. And one thing I was going to mention too is just going back to what he said about just going out there. You know, I think something, Tom, that's important people should hear is that you shouldn't overexhaust yourself giving a damn about every issue in the world. Whether it's, let's be honest, the darkest things in the world, like rape, pedophilia, you know, wife beating, husband beating, spousal abuse, whatever you want to call it. You know, the darkest things you can think of that we do, don't overexert yourself because on the internet, you'll definitely lose your mind. So just pick something that you're passionate about. Could be child sex trafficking and go out there and do it. Right. Or it could be, you know, helping out with the border patrol, whatever the case you want to do. Whatever
you're at.
Yeah, whatever you're at, just do it. But don't worry about every damn thing that happens in the world.
Because you will just overexhaust yourself. And also, you can't fight every battle. Yeah. But one thing, too, is just the battle in your own community. Man, I remember when we went mixing with a couple of friends, and one of them even started saying, like, man, if I ever saw someone, like, take someone in front of me like that, like, he went on and on. So there are good people out there who are going to act when they see it. But does it still remove the fact of, is it easier? So let me put it this way. So, Eric, do you think it's easier to do bad things or good, or to motivate people to do bad things, or easier to motivate people to do good things?
I want to say it boils down to the economic times and how downtrodden they are. But I would say just even if they're having a good time economically, you can definitely force someone to do bad things because it's easier just to be an asshole. I mean, I'm literally the ass because it's easy. Not to say I don't do good things, but I just prefer being an asshole because it's so exhausting being nice all the time. So let me just be an asshole, but I'll do some nice things on the side rather than just being nice every time. That's exhausting to be nice every time. You know, I don't know. Maybe
not everyone deserves it.
Yeah, exactly. That too. So
I know we don't always deserve it.
Oh no.
And can I say someone who definitely does not get the nice person? Telemarketers. I feel bad for y'all. Y'all get the rough end of that. A good call is just if they hang up.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh man. That's what I do. I just hang up now. Like, nope, not
interesting.
Don't talk to me about it. My car's extended warranty. No, it ain't.
Yeah, you know what's funny? People keep calling me for the past like week now about college loans. Like, I don't got any loans with you. I don't know what this university is, but they just keep on calling me, leaving voicemails saying, "Hey, we can help you out with the student loans." Like, I don't got any.
Just track your credit. As long as your credit doesn't drop, nothing's up.
Yeah,
that's all I do. Every so often, I'll just look at my credit. It's like, oh, credit's still fine. So obviously, that's all BS. Man, Eric, we talked about a lot today. Some stuff that was kind of heavy.
Yeah.
And kind of getting into this, I'm actually going to throw my own 2 cents in there because, I'm going to sound like an idiot. There's 2 historical figures, one who believes that we naturally do good and one who believes we naturally do bad. And there's probably so many other philosophers who throw in their 2 cents. So with that all being said, I think kind of what you mentioned of like, it depends where we are in the times. Something I see even in the people I work with, when you're doing incredibly well, it's so much easier to do something bad. And I don't mean like, oh, he shoplifted a candy bar. Not that. It's usually almost something that matches the success. Look at Harvey Weinstein. Dude, the guy had it made. Yeah. He was going to go down in film history as an amazing, producer, someone who just did great things. Yeah. And then that came out. And it's like, what were you doing? What were you thinking?
Yeah.
Like, you went and you hurt people and you had it all. And now this is what you will be known for. This is how you hurt people. Again, maybe it's when people get to a certain extent of success that they become that way. But it's easy to topple them down. Because then you go to any homeless shelter and people there are helping each other all the time. I'm not saying there's no petty theft. I'm not saying they're perfect. They're not. But it's funny how you will find kindness in places where you think you would find some sort of grit, some sort of coarse feelings towards one another. Yeah. And there's not. There's support. But then when you get to the top, I'm going to put quotations around that, top of whatever it is you're into.
Yeah.
When you've reached your pinnacle of what is successful or what would make, I don't know, something like that, some sort of financial goal usually, then it seems like it's so much easier to get toppled by something. And obviously we can't speak too highly of that because we're not rich.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to sit here and, again, take that high horse because I think everyone has it, right? Now, when you get into hurting kids and hurting people, that's different. There ain't no exemption. If you become a drug addict, I'm like, I kind of get it. You're probably stressed out. Yeah. But you come to hurting people, I'm like,
That's a big step.
I had a lot of stress. You had stress? Man, every time I struggle to pay a bill, I ain't sitting there like, who can I hurt now?
Right? It'll relieve the pain.
So, actually, even look at the direction of this. How much time did we spend talking about the famous people who did good in the world, and the people who did bad? Who did we give more time talking about?
Well, the bad ones. I feel like
they always take up the most attention. I think naturally, this part of us. Maybe it's because we want to find out, like, what made you like that? Who hurt you?
Yeah. Well, I think too is because we always like a villain. Let's be honest. We love our Vaders. We love our Palpatines, our Saurons, Voldemorts. We put more attention on them than we would Harry Potter or Snape, as much as we love those characters. Same thing with, history with Hitler, because we want to get into the psyche of someone who's so different and out of the norm. And the bad people we mentioned, they're out of the norm. They're not MLK or Gandhi.
So you think there's a part of us that admires the villain?
I would say not so much admires, but we're just fascinated by it. Like, how are you this different from the normal thing? There's his parents, for example, Hitler's parents are Jones's parents. Then there's him or them, It's like, what happened between that? And I think that's something we're fascinated by.
And when it comes to home life, go listen to our 4th podcast with Arthur. that maybe that'll solve some issues. But man, no, that is, you're right. Like, how did they become who they are? Yeah. And again, maybe fascination. There is a fascination with the power they had. And again, I'm just going back to it, but they used it for the wrong thing, clearly. Yeah. Why was that the pick? Why was it the pick to hurt people? I'll never get it. Still will never get it. It's a question we'll never be able to answer. Maybe there's some individual like serial killers who have talked about it and it started here. But like, what do you mean? Like, out of everything you could have done, why was that not the choice? But hey, if there's people who like they feel like they want to get a part of this conversation, put in some stuff in the comments or make a video saying that we're idiots. I don't know, whatever.
Clap back.
My response to the ogre in the ass.
Uneducated, ignorant Negroes and Caucasians are on YouTube, and I'm tired of it. Okay, they run their mouth. They got a platform. They think they're all that in a bag of chips, but they're not. I'm sorry.
That was awesome. Who are you impersonating right there? I gotta hear it.
Oh, just YouTubers who do stupid little clapbacks on other YouTube channels. Petty YouTube drama.
Yeah. Well, anyway, man, let's not get too much deeper into this now.
Yeah,
We'd be here all night, but let's wrap this up. Is there anything that comes to mind? Any last thoughts that you have about this particular topic?
Honestly, what we talked about, just take the good out of it. And I think the good would be study the good people who you just want to, emulate throughout history and read about them, and then study the infamous people who you don't want to be like. And I think when you dwell into their mind about who they are and what happened to them, you can do your best to be the best person that you can be, because you're now educated on a little bit on that person's life, whether it's Hitler or Margaret Thatcher or Gandhi or MLK, it doesn't matter. Just educate yourself on, those type of people so you can know yourself what you're dealing with in the future. So no, that's my best advice.
Yeah, honestly, my last few words, I guess my final thoughts about it is like, watch who you're hanging around, the stuff they say and what they do. Common quote I really like is watch where someone's eyes go. Like, and I'm not talking about like when a cute girl walks by, you might look down for a second. Like, no, I'm not like maybe that too a little bit, but like you need to watch someone's body behavior. You need to be able to like listen to the things they say. If they think a rape joke is funny, it's not funny. Don't listen to it. You can't stop listening, but don't be around that person. A rape joke is not funny. Or if it's like hurting people, or people who are hurting animals. Gosh, there was a guy 3 blocks like that way, and apparently he got busted because he would purchase kittens, and then took them inside. That's all I'll talk about that. But I truly do think who you are around is who you will become. I do believe in that. So that's why we're both assholes, or honestly. Like, you might be the ass, but we're both assholes here.
Okay. It's all right.
But I'd rather be an asshole just like verbally and how we talk to each other than hurting people, actually.
Yeah.
So anyway, everyone, thanks again for listening. This is the Ogre in the Ass podcast. We always really appreciate having you guys listen to us and watch us. Like I said, we see you. We really appreciate all the good feedback we get. And if you ever want, I don't care, put it in a comment section. Like, hey, can I get a shout out? Why not? Let's just shout people out. I got nothing better to do. Let's do it. Let's talk about it. I'll throw them out. What's up, Mom?
Oh, she listening to this now?
Yeah, she's been listening.
Oh, I dropped like 2 N-words, 2 N-bombs.
You said an F-bomb too. I don't think the N-bombs are what got her.
Oh, yeah.
We'll work on that.
Well, good luck to her.
You ain't gonna give your mom a shout out?
I will. She doesn't even YouTube, to be honest. But you know what?
She doesn't YouTube?
She doesn't YouTube. But Mom, if you're watching this, which you're probably not, but if you are, hello. I appreciate your hard work. You raised you
raised an asshole.
You raised the kid, all right?
You raised him. Yep. He's an all right guy. Anyway, guys, thanks again for listening to the Ogre in the Ass podcast. Please hit that like or subscribe button. Or again, if you are listening on the other platforms, hit the follow button. But regardless, and like always, until next time, stay the hell out of our swamp.